So welcome into this wonderful weekend, Martin Luther King Jr.'s weekend, and celebrating the life of a very great, wonderful entity on this plane, and a man who has left a big legacy in the form of us yet still uniting under that common peaceful front to achieve a world that works for all in a peaceful way. So we're delighted to honor him at this time, and to know that each one of us can make a difference. That's what we're celebrating here today, too. Each one of us can make a difference. And so, my dear ones, we're continuing on in our Science of Mind 101 in the month of January. So we've looked already at the thing itself. Spirit, infinite being, the creator, the source, the first cause, the beginning, the end, the alpha, the omega, whatever we want to call that thing called life, that thing called God, that thing called presence, that thing called spirit. We've looked at that and realized that that spirit, that life, that God is the commander of it all, the creator of it all, and the sustainer of it all. And then we looked at the way life works, the way infinite intelligence works, the way God works. And that is through universal principle, universal law, through the divine matrix, through the creative process of life, through the art of mind, through consciousness. That's how life works. And today, we're looking at what it does, what infinite being, infinite intelligence as law does. And what it does is simply it manifests, it creates, it produces, it manifests. And so seeing how that happens in layers is very important so that we understand our part in it all. Because as spirit is, so too am I. In the image, in the nature, in the likeness of spirit, I am created. So as spirit creates, so too do I, the very same way. As God creates, I create in the very same way. How does God create? God contemplates upon God's self, thinks within God's self, and so it is, whatever that thinking is. So it is. It happens. I think upon myself. I think into myself. And as I do, so it is. It happens. Very same way. What is the difference? Degree. Degree is the only difference. That is all. Spirit thinks in an unlimited way from the level of the macro. I think in a limited way from the level of the micro. But I produce as a result, just as spirit produces too. I produce an effect, a product, a form, a happening, an experience as a result of what I'm thinking. Now, there's another big difference between the way spirit thinks and the way I think too. Everything that spirit thinks and contemplates and brings into being, spirit can look at and say, it is good. It is very good. Can you do that? Can I do that? Not everything I've created could I stand before and say it's good, it's very good. Three-dimensionally speaking. I know good comes out of all, but instantly, when I've been naughty or whatever, I can't look at it and say it's good, it's very good. But spirit can and always does. Now that's another question of difference and degree in how we think and what we choose to think and how we are. However, it is given to you, it is given to me to think as spirit thinks along the line of good and only good. We can do this because we're equipped to do this. Spiritually, we have the possibility of that. Ernest Holmes tells us all the time in all of his writings this one thing. Within us lives infinite possibility, and yours is the privilege of giving birth to it. Within you lives infinite possibility, and yours is the privilege of giving birth to it. But you've got to give birth to it. And you know what birth means. It means movement. It means a happening. It means something's taking place. It means I have to go with the flow of the birthing process. You and I don't always do that. So things don't get birthed that could get birthed. And because we're asleep, things that shouldn't get birthed do get birthed when we're unconscious. And it's an interesting thing. So how life happens is through the projection of consciousness. Me thinking into life, me feeling into life, and as a result of that, something being produced, something coming into form, some experience happening. Because inner cause produces outer effects. Inner cause produces outer effects. As I contemplate within, so too it is without. It happens, it comes in to form. So when I want to get an idea up and running and I want to bring it to fruition, what I have to do is to get clear on the idea. I have to take the idea, see the idea, say yes to the idea, take the idea, look at the idea, and say to the idea, I am going to see that you are going to be experienced in the outer world. I'm going to allow you to come from the interior, invisible world of energy alone and move into an expression in my life, through the way I think, through the way I think. So I get the idea and I say yes to it. Then I have to support the idea. I have to keep energizing the idea. I have to keep pumping life into the idea so the idea can get to the point where it's strong enough and able enough to do what it needs to do in order to appear in our experience. If you look at these two balloons, they're an example of something. One of the balloons is filled to its capacity. It's a fully grown idea. It's ready to soar. If I take that string off and I let it go, it's going to soar. It will rise as high as it can rise, as it's able to rise, and accomplish what I want it to accomplish. The other one is half filled. It's half filled. So I can take that string and let that go. It's not going to rise as high as it could. It doesn't have enough energy to do that. It doesn't have enough support to do that. It hasn't been given enough to do that. And it'll go a certain way and then it'll fall down. It won't happen. It's not going to come to fruition. It cannot soar. On the other hand, I have here another balloon. Now, I love balloons. I cannot look at a balloon and not smile. I cannot look at a balloon and not smile and go, a balloon, a balloon. Now, here's another balloon. And here it is in its incipiency. This is the way it looks when you get it. Not much of anything. It's very flat, very, two-dimensional here. And it's just a piece of rubber is what it is, And it doesn't make me smile necessarily. It's a balloon. I say, oh, there's a balloon. When I look at that, I say, oh, there's a balloon. Because there's a difference. So this is a potential idea. A potential idea. Now, I can take this balloon and do anything I want with this balloon. I can just blow it up and look at it, and it's lovely, and leave it there. I can, which I've often done and still do to this day, blow it up and then play with it. It's great exercise. I'm telling you, and it's very light, but it's great exercise. Keep that balloon bouncing in the air. It's very good exercise. And so I can do that. I can play with somebody else with the balloon. I can do all kinds of things with the balloon, wherever my imagination allows me to go with it. I can do that. But here it is at the moment, and it's, okay. So now I'm deciding this balloon is an idea. It's an idea, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's an idea. I think it's a good idea. I think I'll work on that idea. I think I'll empower that idea. How do I do that? I give it life. How do I do that? I act upon it. Already my idea is growing. I've supported it. I've energized it. I've empowered it. And then in order to bring it, of course, to its completion and to have it manifest out in my world, I have to keep supporting it, keep empowering it, keep energizing it through thinking it and feeling it and feeling it and knowing it and expecting it. And so I keep doing that. I keep empowering it. And guess what? As I empower it, it looks even greater than ever before. It makes me feel good. I'm enthusiastic about it. I'm growing in that sense of expectancy. So I keep doing it. as I keep doing this, it gets easier for me to empower it. The first breath into a balloon is a little bit harder, I can tell you, than the last one, because you get it up and going. So here I am, I keep doing it and getting excited more and more about it. And then when I do it, I don't just give it a little bit of energy, I give it more at each turn. I go... I keep putting more and more effort and energy into it and getting more delighted. Now at this point, some of you out there are getting a little worried because, you know how balloons are. And it's the same thing that happens with our ideas. When they get to a big point where we stop and think, oh my gosh, what if it doesn't happen? After all this energy and after all this time and after all this support, what if it doesn't happen? Oh my. But then we get over ourselves and we keep going. And there you bring it to its full state of capacity. And now there it is. It's ready for launching. It's ready to go. It's ready to soar. It's ready to go out there onto the thing I send it and accomplish what I'm sending it out to accomplish and show up in my life as the experience I want it to be. And more, then some. And there it is. But when it gets to this state, I look at it and I look at it and I look at it and I decide, what am I going to do? And then if the naysayers are enough around me and I begin to feel that energy and allow that energy to take me over, this is what could happen. Just as I'm ready to pass the winning post, I let it all go. And every one of us have had experiences of that kind in our lives. We just didn't follow through with that final oomph. And then what happens? It returns back to this flat thing that it was, but it's less than it was before. You see, it's a bit misshapen, it's bumpy, it's humpy, it's lumpy. And it's not even what it was before. It doesn't have the same capacity or potential that it had before, because now it's kind of used. And it hasn't been given the opportunity and the chance that it could have been given. And so it's back to nothingness. Now, I don't know about you, but all of us have a drawer full of ideas in the chest of our minds. All of us. But when I look at a bag of balloons, they do nothing for me in their original state. When I walk into a room filled with balloons, I'm in awe, I'm in wonder, I'm in joy, I'm in delight, because they're being what they're supposed to be. Remember this. Remember this the next time you get a good idea. And decide how you're going to treat that idea. And how you're going to support that idea or not, as the case may be. But remember too, you want to bring it to its final state once you start supporting it. And the way I support it is to feel about it and think about it and be excited about it and give it my attention and give it my energy and act upon anything I can act upon in order for it to come into fruition. Instead of just having these ideas sail in and out of my mind, and not saying, there's when I'm going to grab onto that. I can do this. I know I can, because there's an impulse in me now that sees that one there and just wants to hone in it, and I'm going to do it. Instead of allowing the lethargy, the inertia of erroneous thought and erroneous feeling stopping me and blocking me from producing my good. Because all my erroneous thoughts and feelings are the only things that are capable of getting in my way and stopping me and blocking me from any good thing that I desire. And remember, we are told all good is available to us. All good is available to us. Infinite possibility. And within infinite possibility, it's that, exactly that. All possibility is infinite possibility, and that's available to you and to me, and it's available to you and to me right now. If we could get up out of our laziness and our misthinking and misfeeling about everything. Now, Ernest Holmes says, if you want to have a rich and great and powerful life, you must produce a rich and great and powerful consciousness, because it's not going to come out of anything else. And remember what he said last week? He said, all you need is you. All you need is you. And a clear recognition of the law and right application of what you've recognized. Then everything is available to you that is good and very good. Everything, nothing barred. Everything is available to you. And he also says that that's not going to happen as long as you keep your thoughts in pessimism, morbidity. It's not going to happen. It cannot happen. He says there are, his own very words, there are enough sad faces in the world, don't add to them. That's what he says. Enough sad faces in the world that comes out of sad thinking, sad mindsets. Don't add to them. If you want to flourish and thrive, you must entertain flourishing and thriving thoughts. Thoughts become things, and every thought is an act of creation. Every thought is an act of creation. Now, there's something listening into you as you're thinking. There's something listening into you as you're feeling. And that something that's listening into you as you're thinking and feeling is responding to your thinking and feeling, is moving upon your thinking and feeling, and is making the way straight for that thinking and feeling to show up in your life as an experience, whether your thinking is good, bad, or indifferent. And that thing that's listening into your thinking and feeling is the creative process, the law of life itself, and it has all power to produce what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and it does. It does exactly that. Now remember too that all power is given to you. Not some power, not partial power, itsy bitsy teeny bit of power, because now you're kind of not operating according to par. All power at all times is available to you when you wake up to that realization. It is given to you to flourish and to thrive and to live a great, good, enriched, empowered life without exception. And it doesn't matter where you've been in your mind before, how you've been in your behavior before. That matters nothing at all. It has nothing to do with how you can be now. So this week you and I are asked to look at what our thinking and what our feeling have produced in our life until now, and to make adjustments accordingly, to adjust if we need to adjust. Remember, it's as simple as changing your mind so that your feelings can change and consequently your behavior can change. It's no small thing to say that if I change my thinking, I can change my life, I can change my world. To grasp that is an incredible ability and shows great awareness of how life works. And yet, look at us. We hear it again and again and again. We know it superficially again and again and again, and yet we sit on our spiritual derrieres and do nothing to use that power in a way that empowers us so that we can go out there and empower all life, because that's what we're called to do. We are called to be life's givingness back onto itself, as spirit is life's givingness back onto itself. Well, we're so busy about getting and getting and getting, we're not thinking about giving and giving and giving, which is our nature to do, to give and to give and to give, knowing that we always have more to give, that we cannot not have something to give when we're in the habit of giving. A smile, a pat on the back, a word of encouragement, a word of comfort, a word of praise, a little of this here, a little of this there, much sometimes, a little sometimes, more other times. It depends. But as long as you and I know we're part of a river of givingness, we'll always have enough, and the enough will always be more than plenty. More than plenty, because we cannot outgive life in generosity. It's impossible. First order of life, in order to flourish and to thrive, is to cast your bread upon the waters. Give and you shall receive, ancient wisdom says. And not only will you receive, but you will receive pressed down, shaken up and spilling over. You'll receive more than you've given, but that works on the negative side of life too. You give it out on the negative side of life, it comes right back at you, pressed down, spilling over as well. So we have to make up our minds now to live mindfully, to live consciously, and to be all that we can be. All that we can be. You and I can choose every single day of our lives to make each conscious thought, because not all our thought is conscious. I mean, we cannot help it when we fall asleep and the mind runs away with us and thinks whatever it's going to think. But we can help it when we wake up to that's happening. You can get up in the morning, make up your mind, this is the best day I'm ever going to live. I'm going to make sure it's the best day I'm ever going to live, because I'm going to think all good thoughts. I'm going to feel all good feelings. And then come lunchtime, you feel dreadful and you don't know why, because you started out very well, and then you think and you, oh my gosh, I've been entertaining that terrible negative thought for the past 4 hours. I better release it and let it go and snap out of it. Snap out of it. And because we can snap out of it just like that. We can, because there's a power within us that when we cooperate with it, it can happen instantly. In a blink of an eye, I can snap out of it, because remember, I'm in charge of my mind. And it's how I use my freedom to think and how I use my freedom to choose what I'm going to feel is what creates what I'm experiencing and what's going on in my life. And so I can choose to make every conscious thought a ray of light, a healing balm, an affirmation of life. I can do that. I have the capacity and the ability to do that. And the more I do that, the greater my life is, the greater my life becomes. My life can be anything I think it to be. It can be anything I feel it to be, because that's how it happens. Through my thinking, through my feeling, through my feeling, through my thinking, my life happens. My life unfolds because of what's going on in my head and what's going on in my emotional states. So my mental state and my emotional environment create the experiences of life that I am having. But remember, we have to have absolute faith in the creative process, knowing it's on our side, knowing God is in us, knowing that life is at our back. We have to have that absolute faith. If it's not there, we're not going to flourish and thrive to the extent that we can. But most of us don't want to believe. We won't believe. We say we can't believe. Well, you know what Sister Stanislaus used to say to us in kindergarten? Don't tell me I can't, child, because I can't means I won't. That's all I can't means. It means I won't. That's all and nothing else. But remember this, my dear ones. Remember, all power is given to you to use as you so choose. What are you going to do about it? Remember the promise. If anybody knocks, I will open, and if anybody I'm knocking. I am knocking. I knock at the door. I stand at the door of your consciousness and I knock. And if you open, I will come in and we will be in communion. And indeed, come to me, all of you, for I am sweet and my company is light. Anything you own, anything you decree, anything you claim, believing, it is yours, and it is yours now, for the owning, for the claiming, for the knowing, for the feeling, for the allowing, for the saying yes to. And I leave you with these last words. Remember this. Every single prodigal comes home to the fullness of the Father's house eventually. where the prodigal belongs in the first place. And when that prodigal comes home, what that prodigal experiences is reception, welcome, cherishment, a feast beyond imagination, and a joy that is insatiable on the part of the father who receives the prodigal. We are all prodigals, my dear ones. It's time for us to get up out of the mire and the muck of erroneous thinking and feeling, and to rise up and come to ourselves like the original prodigal did, and to run like the Dickens as fast as we can back home to that house, that home, that father who wants only for us the opulence of life to be expressed through us, that awaits us, that has the feast in place and the celebration ready for each one of us when we come to our senses and come into consciousness and realize that all of the kingdom is available to us with all of its gifts, and it's available now. What's it going to be, my dear ones, for you? Is this the day? Is this the moment? Is this the week when we wake up, put on our running shoes and head out into that territory that leads only to home, and home alone and all its fullness? I'm knowing that that's where we all are now. I'm knowing that's what we're all saying yes to now. And I am knowing that there's nothing can stop us or block us except thinking makes it so. So away with the stinking thinking, on with the new and wonderful thinking, and the great good life that's beckoning us, and so it is.
We invite you to experience Dr. Moira in person on Sundays. Our services are at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., and childcare is available. Please join us. If you enjoy these messages and would like to make a donation to our center, please visit our website at redondocsl.org. Thank you for your support of this ministry.